Before the automobile ever moved on its own, before engines roared and wheels turned without horses, humanity had already spent thousands of years dreaming of movement. The automobile was not a sudden invention. It was the final result of countless small steps, failures, experiments, and obsessions that stretched across centuries. To understand how the automobile was invented, we must forget modern highways, traffic lights, and fuel stations. We must return to a world of mud roads, animal power, and human muscle, a world where speed was measured by footsteps and endurance by survival. The automobile begins with one simple idea, the wheel. Around 3500 BCE in Mesopotamia, humans discovered that rolling objects was easier than dragging them. This was not transportation yet, it was logistics. Heavy stones, crops, and materials became movable. The earliest wheels were solid wooden discs, carved from tree trunks. They were heavy, inefficient, and fragile, but they changed everything. Without the wheel, there would be no carts, no chariots, no carriages, no automobiles. The automobile is, at its core, a wheel-based idea. For thousands of years, animals were engines. Horses, oxen, donkeys, and camels provided motion. Speed depended on muscle, terrain, and endurance. Civilization adapted its cities, roads, and economies to this limitation. Roman roads, for example, were masterpieces of engineering, not for cars, but for horse-drawn vehicles. Their stone layers, drainage systems, and straight lines would later inspire modern road construction. Yet there was a fundamental limitation. Animals could only go so far, so fast, and so long. Humans began to ask a dangerous question. What if movement didn't depend on life? The idea of self-moving vehicles appeared long before engines. In ancient Greece, inventors like Hero of Alexandria created primitive steam-powered devices, not for transport, but for demonstration. His Aeolipile, a rotating steam sphere, proved one thing: heat could create motion. In China, engineers experimented with wind-powered and mechanically driven carts. Some legends even describe south-pointing chariots using complex gear systems. These were not automobiles, but they were conceptual ancestors. During the Middle Ages, transportation technology stagnated. Roads deteriorated. Trade routes became dangerous. Innovation slowed as survival replaced experimentation. Movement still depended on animals and wooden vehicles. Yet something critical was happening quietly. Metalworking improved. Gears, axles, bearings, and suspension concepts became more refined. These invisible improvements would later allow engines and wheels to coexist reliably. The Renaissance reignited curiosity. Leonardo da Vinci, centuries before cars existed, designed a self-propelled cart powered by coiled springs. It was never meant for roads, but the idea was revolutionary. For the first time, motion was separated from animals in a practical design. Leonardo did not invent the automobile, but he imagined it. The true ancestor of the automobile arrived in the 18th century. In 1769, French engineer Nicolas Joseph Cugnot built a steam-powered road vehicle designed to move cannons for the army. It was slow, it was heavy, it barely worked, but it moved without animals. This was the first time a vehicle carried its own power source. Cugnot's machine crashed into a wall during testing, possibly becoming the first automobile accident in history. Steam vehicles faced serious limitations: long startup times, explosive pressure risks, enormous weight, low efficiency. They proved the concept, but not the future. Inventors needed a smaller, lighter, faster engine. The solution would come from an unexpected direction: controlled explosions. In the early 19th century, scientists discovered that fuel ignited inside a chamber could create controlled motion. Instead of boiling water, engines would burn gas. This changed everything. Early internal combustion engines were crude and unreliable, but they introduced three revolutionary ideas: compact power, faster response, independence from water. In 1885, German engineer Carl Benz built what is widely recognized as the first true automobile. Not a carriage with an engine, not a steam experiment, a vehicle designed from the ground up to be motor-driven. It had a gasoline engine, 3 wheels, steering, fuel storage. Most importantly, it was repeatable and functional. Benz didn't just invent a machine, he invented a system. The automobile was no longer a fantasy. By the end of the 19th century, multiple inventors across Europe were refining engines, transmissions, brakes, and steering systems. Each improvement built upon centuries of ideas: the wheel, the axle, the gear, the engine. The automobile was not invented by one person. It was assembled by history. The automobile was never inevitable. It emerged because humans wanted speed, animals had limits, mechanics evolved, energy became controllable. From wooden wheels to controlled explosions, the automobile represents human refusal to stay still. And it all began long before the first engine ever turned.